Hello friend, welcome back. So for creating the Django authentication system better, I want to create another project, then it should be better. Okay, then it should be not confusing to you, because of all previously I have already created one of the project, and in this project we have already complete our code application, right? So now for the authentication system, I want to create another new project, then it should be better. So right now I just simply log out from here. So that is our server. So also I just card this server. So that is our first project, and into this first project I have already discussed about that things with you, how can create the code application with the SQL server, right? So right now I want to do, for if you go to our exercise file, and into the exercise file for the Django authentication system, I want to create another folder, and into this folder I name it as a Django auth. Okay, so I just name it as a Django auth, one of the folder. So now first of all I want to actually take this our folder into this particular folder area. I want to create our new project. So for doing this I want to add this folder in our Atom editor. So now go to file, into the file I just click as a open folder, and now I want to go to our exercise file, and that is our folder name I have created as a Django auth. So now I just better select this folder. So now I want to study it from to the fresh, then you can well understand about it. So right now you don't need this, I just simply remove everything. Okay, so that is our Django project. That means here I have created one of the folder as a Django auth. So into the Django auth folder I want to install our new project. So if you want to create new project, I think you already know about it, all that basic I have already discussed about that things with you. Then you have to go to your terminal, and into the terminal, that is our folder name as a Django auth. So here I want to create our second project. So better I want to define as a Django. Okay, Django, and then admin, and then you have to define your start project, right? There is a start project. So with this start project we can create some of the project. So now I want to define one of the project name as a my second. Okay, my second underscore project. So here that is a Django and admin and the start project, and our project name will be as a my second project, right? Now if you click as a enter, now you can see our project is created. So now if you go to this folder, yeah, you can see into this folder I have created another new project, and our project name as a my second project. Right friend, I think everything is very much familiar to you. So that is our manage, and that is our my second project, and that is our setting URL. So here all that setting we have to define, that is our URL we have to defining it on here. So first of all I want to set up our total configuration that we already did for our first project. So that is our first of all that is our project name I have defined, and into this project I want to create one of the applications. So if you want to create one of the application, first of all right now we are into this folder, so we have to redirect it to our this folder area, right? So into this folder area I want to create one of the application. I think you already know about it, because as I told you we have to first of all set up everything which things we have already complete in our previous all that section. So right now I want to first of all change the directory. So I just simply define as a cd, that means the change directory, and then m, and if you click as a tab, automatically it should be getting that folder name. Now I just click as a change this directory. So now you can see right now we are into this folder area, that means this folder area. So into this folder area I want to create one of the application for our authentication. So here you have to define as a Python or the py, and then manage.py, and then I just simply define as a start app, right? Start app, and now I want to define that name will be our application name I define as a login underscore app. Okay, so here I want to create one of the application. So in our project area, so in our second project area, that is our logging app. So now I just click as a enter. Now you can see our application is now successfully created. So that is our logging app. So I think friend you already know about every file, because here we have already working with the view, our models. So that is our everything we have to again set up it. So now we successfully create our application, and now we define that application name as a logging app. And now after that, what exactly we have to do? We have to actually add this application in our setting. That means in our project, into the project, that is our setting file. And into the setting file here, that is actually our installed app. Into the installed app area, we have to defining it. So here we have to define our this logging. Okay, logging underscore app. So I just simply defining it. And also here we will need our HTML file. So for the reasons here I want to do in our project directory, that means in our project directory here I want to create one of the templates that we did the same thing. As I told you, we have to actually do the same things that we already did in our previous all the projects. So here that is our project folder, and here I want to create one of the new folder, and I just name it as a templates. Right, so that is our templates folder, and into the templates folder area I want to create another folder, and I just name it as a logging app, logging underscore app. So here I have to define all that our HTML file. Okay friend, so I have created one of the folder for our templates. So that is our templates, and that is our logging app. And now also we have to add our this template. We have to add our this template in our template area, that means in our OS area. So here you have to define as a template, okay, templates underscore directory, or the dir, sorry. I just simply define as a dir, and then it should be as a OS, and then we have to define that path. So I just simply define that path, and path we have to join it. So friend, I have already discussed about that things with you in our base. That means the base directory. Into the base directory here also we have to define our folder name. So I have created our folder name as a template. So now we have to add it. So now here I just simply define as a templates. So I just simply define our templates folder. Okay, and also we have to add this template directory. So here I take these things with this variable. So now we have to add it. We have to add it in our here if you go. So in particular that area there have also you have to add. So here into the template area, that is actually our directory. So here I have to add it, a template directory, right? So now I want to create one of the templates. So into the template area, that is our logging app, and here I create new file, and I just name it as a base.html. It should be just like that same, that is actually the base.html. So better if you go to our exercise file, in your previous section I have already defining it. Like if you go to our first project, into the first project, there is our template, our first template, and that is our base HTML. Better I want to open it with the Sublime Text Editor. It should be just like that same. I just simply copy it, and now here, so that is our project. So right now we don't need our previous one. Okay, so that is actually our previous one as a first project. So right now we don't need this. I just simply remove it, and now here I just simply paste it. Okay friends, so now I just make the things as a PHP. So that is our HTML. So I want to change it as a PHP. Perfect. So as I told you before, everything I think you already know about it. So here I define our HTML. So into the HTML I define the title. So here also will be needed. So I just make the things as a title right now. And then that is our CSS. That means here I have used the Bootstrap CDN. So Bootstrap CDN CSS, and then that is actually our navbar, and into the navbar, so that should be our link. So right now I want to take only one field. Okay, that means one menu. So right now we don't need this. I just better remove it because we have to also create our all that path. So right now I just make the things as a empty. It should be as a home, and here we have to define another one. So here we have to define another menu, in particular that area. And after that, that is our blog. That means the blog body block, and there is an and body block, and then our Bootstrap CDN, all that JS file. So here I have loaded, right? So friend, I think you already know about it because we already did this type of work for our first project. So here I just simply copy it and paste it on here. And also you have to create another file. So I just create new file, and I just name it as index.html. Okay, so I just name it as index.html. So it should be just like that same. If you go and if you open with the Sublime Text Editor, So right now here we need actually our this position, that means they extended our fast step. So here we don't need this .html. So right now I just simply paste it, and also we have to finish it. So I just simply want to finish it, that means the and block, right? So now I want to define that name. It should be as a home, okay, or this is index page. This type of one of the h1 tag I have defined. So friend, I think you already know about it. So that is our extended. It should be extended our, right now I have defined our application names, our application name. So here I have defined in our template, there is our logging app, right? Not the fast app. So in our fast app, I have defined that name as a fast app. So right now it should be redirected to a logging app. So I want to change it as a logging, sorry. Okay, logging app, and into the logging app, it should be extended our this base HTML. So that is our base HTML. Perfect. So now I want to load this page. So if you want to load it, then what exactly you have to do? You have to create one of the view for these applications, right? That means in our application area, you have to create one of the function for this one. That is our views. So here I want to define one of the function, and I just name it as a div, and then I name it as an index function, and then also we have to pass that request. I think you already know about it, and then I take as a diction. You can use that diction or dix. So I just right now we're using that dix. In our first project, I have used that as a diction. So now I just simply define as a dix, and first of all I want to make the things as a empty, and then we have to return and the render. Right, we have to return render, and then the request. So into the request here we have to pass our file name. So our file location, I have already defined our file location in our logging app, into the logging app, and then here I want to load our index.html, right friend? So into the template, that is our logging app, and that is our index.html. Here I want to load it, and also here we have to pass our in our context area. So into the context, I pass our this ID variable, that is our dix. So I just simply pass it. Perfect. And after that we have to create one of the URL. So we have to create one of the URL pattern in our project directory. So into the project directory, that is the URLs, right? So into this URLs, right now we don't need this. I just simply remove everything from here. So now first of all, here we have to also into the path area, we have to include one of the includes functions. So I just simply define as the include library, right? Into the include library, and here I want to create another path, and also I want to create our URL mapping. Friend, I have already discussed about that things with you, how can create that URL mapping. So now I also want to apply that things on here. So I just make one of our root path, and into the root path here we have to do. So right now we don't need this. Here we have to include, right? Include, and then in particular that area we have to include our URLs, because in our this application, in a logging application, here I want to create one of the URLs file. So I just simply include it on here in our logging, into the logging app, and into the logging app area I want to create one of the py files. So here I define as a py as a URL. Okay, URLs. So here I have to create one of the file in our logging application. So now here I just click as a new file, and now I define as URLs. I just simply define as urls.py. Now I just click on the save, and into the urls.py area I want to mapping it. I think you already know about it. So here we have to first of all add our from and then Django. And then we have to also input some of the URL. We have to include the path and the view, right? So we did that work before. So I just simply define again as a config, that is the conf, and then here we have to define our URLs, and then also we have to input the URL, right? So I just simply define as a URL, that is the URL one of the library, and also from our Django. From our Django, I want to define our these URLs. So into these URLs I want to import, and also here we have to define our path. So I just simply define that path, right? And then also we have to define our form, our form, our application name. So our application that is in our logging application, into the logging application I want to import our these views. So I just simply define as a logging. Into the logging app, I want to input our views. So, right friends, so I just simply input our view, and after that we have to edit our URL pattern. So I just simply define as URL pattern. So that is actually our URL patterns, and into the URL patterns area I have to define our path. So here I just simply define the path, and with this path I want to define here first of all I want to work for our home. That means in our home I want to load our view page. So into the area I just simply define our view. Into the views I have already created one of the function for this one. So I have already created one of the function in our views, that is our index, right? So I just simply define that as the index, right? So after that also we have to define this our path name. So I just simply define that name, and I just name this path as index. So I just simply name this path as index, right friend? I hope you can well understand about it. And also here if you want to display it with this path name, here we have to define one of the app name, right? So we already did that work. So I just simply define as a app underscore name, and I just name this as a logging app. Okay, so that will be our path name, and that is our home. That means into the home route area I define our views. So here you can say just define as a comma, it should be as actually comma. Okay, so into the views I define our index. So that is our index function, and the name I just name it this path as index. Perfect. So into the view area, so into the our view function I load our this page as the index.html, right? So now go to our base URL, that means the base HTML. So in our template, that is our base HTML. Into the base HTML you can see that is actually the home. So for the home here I want to define our this link. So here if you want to display this link, I think you already know about it, double %, our key will be as a URL, right? And then here we have to define our app name. Our app name I have defined as a logging, maybe logging, yeah, that is actually the logging app. So I have to defining it. So with this logging app I want to display our name, our path name I have defined as the index, right? So then it will be as a home. So now I want to check it. Okay, so now I want to check it. If you click as a save all, so that's all that procedure friend. I have already discussed about that things with you. So right now I'm actually doing this again. So now I want to run our project. So that is our project directory in our second project. So here better I just cut it. Okay, I just cut it and I just make the things from again. So here that is our project. So that is our Django authentication. We have to go to our change that directory. So I just simply define the change directory with the m, that was second project, and then if you run that project you have to define as a py and then manage.py and then run server, right? So now I just simply run our server. So here it's showing some of the error. You can see that is actually the path. So that is actually a spelling mistake. I understand it. So that is in our logging app, that URL. That means in our logging app, and that is our URL. Here you can see that will be actually path. I have defined as a path. So that is actually the path, PATH, right? So here I just simply update it. Click as a save all. Yeah, now you can see it's now perfectly running. So now I want to check it, our everything is working or not. I just simply copy it and now go here. Right now I just remove everything. So that was our first project. So now I just simply paste it. Yes, you can see it is perfectly now getting our base HTML. Into the base HTML I load our index. So that is our block position. I define that index as a this is index page. So now if you go here, so that is our basic HTML. Into the base HTML I have already added our CSS, and also I added our navbar. You can see our navbar is perfectly now visible. And in our body block, into the body block area I loaded our HTML, that means index HTML. So into the index HTML I have defined as a this is index page. So now you can see it's now showing as a this is index page. So now I also want to access our admin. So if you want to access that admin, then first of all we have to run our migrate, right? So we have to run this migrate file. So right now I just start it again. I just refresh it all. That means the save all. And now I want to migrate it fast because I want to also access our database. So here we have to change that our directory as a M second project. And now I want to migrate it. So if you want to migrate, then I think you already know about it. You have to define as a pi and the manage and dot pi and then the migrate. So I just simply define as a pi, manage pi and migrate. Now click as a enter. Now you can see it's now actually adding migrate all that our database. That means all that our by default database, Django by default database. And then we have to run our second command. Our second command will be as a pi and the manage dot pi and then make migrations and our logging app. That means the application name. So I just simply define as the application name as a logging. Okay, logging underscore app. Now click as a enter. And also after that also we have to run our another one. That means the Python, that means the pi, manage pi and the migrate. Now click on the enter. So that is the 3 code you have to run as I told you before. So friend, we successfully migrate all that our database table. So right now if you want to access that database table, then you have to create one of the super user, right? So now I want to create one of the super users. So I just simply define as a pi and that manage.py and then the create super user, right friend? So make that sure spelling is correct. So that is the pi and the manage.py and the create and then the super user. So now I just click as a enter. Now you can see it's now showing our default username. So right now I want to take this name as Amjad. It's okay with me. Better I want to save it. So that was actually our previous one. So I have already created our second project. So for the second project I want to create another super user. So now I just simply paste it. So I just simply paste it, and also if you click on the enter, it will be showing as some of the address. That means here I name it as admin@gmail.com, and also I'm asking for the password. So I just simply password define as Udemy 12345 and Udemy 12345. Yeah, now you can see our super user is created successfully. So now if you want to access your database, that means if you go here, so we have to run our server again. So I didn't run this, so I just simply run our pi and that manage.py and then run server. Our server is now running, and now I want to access it again. So click on the refresh, and after that if you want to access that admin, I think you already know about it. So that is our admin. So here I define as the same name, that is Amjad, and also I define the password as Udemy 12345. Now click as a logging. Yeah, now you can see it's successfully now logging. So now here friend, that is total fresh project. So here we will create our authentication system. So friend, I think you already know about it. So what exactly the things I did on here. So first of all, I just set up everything that we already did. So in our next video, now we are ready to start for our authentication system. So step by step, everything will be very much clear to you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.